The scene is set here at the historic Chatsworth House.
Dressage, show jumping and cross country, we will be bringing you all of the action across the weekend from the heart of the Derbyshire countryside.
World champions record holders will all be battling it out in what promises to be the most competitive field ever seen.
30 riders from 8 nations, 8 former leg winners and 5 of the world's top 10.
Who has what it takes to win? This is Eventing Reinvented. This is the Event Rider Masters 2019.
Welcome back to the 2019 Event Rider Masters Series, back bigger and better than ever before. It all starts here at the historic Chatsworth estate, the seat of the Duke of Devonshire and home to the Cavendish family since 1549. From the back balustrades and gilded galleries of the house to the unique challenges of the iconic hills, Chatsworth House is a setting as timeless as the sport itself, and it is the perfect backdrop for the extreme sport that is eventing. Yesterday was all about the style and the grace of the dressage. Today is about the thrills and the spills of the jumping phases. The stage is very much set for an epic showdown, bringing us to the conclusion of leg 1 of the 2019 Event Rider Masters Series. Wherever in the world you're joining us from, a very, very good afternoon for you. Sit back, relax, because we will be bringing you all of the action. I'm delighted to say, joining me in the studio for the jumping this afternoon, Angus Smales, 5-star event radar. Angus, delighted to have you with us.
Well, I'm very delighted to be here. Thank you very much for having me for this ERM Series 2019. And looking forward to getting stuck in. And
we're going to start with the show jumping, which will be taking place behind me in just a couple of minutes' time. And then this afternoon, Ian Stark's cross-country track, and Chatsworth really is a unique challenge. But it isn't just us here in the studio. Let's go and say a very good afternoon to Hannah.
Well, Nicole, I have put away the umbrella and the sunglasses are out, and what a difference a day makes. The rain clouds have parted and left us with the most beautiful sunny Sunday here. The crowds have poured in their thousands to watch all the action unfold here with the backdrop of the magnificent Chatsworth House. The stage really is set. We had an incredible dressage test yesterday. Conditions very, very testing. They're doing all they can to sort out the surface here in the show jumping. We've got tractors, we've got rollers. Everything is going on to try and make this as amazing a competition as ever. And of course, with the cross country later, it's all to play for.
Gemma. Well, the slate is wiped clean in terms of the series. The first of 6 legs here. We visit 5 different countries in the 2019 series. All 3 former series champions in the lineup this weekend. Can any of them hold off the challenge from a few of our other top contenders?
As the world's best riders and their horses ready themselves for a brand new season, the competition for the most coveted prize in eventing will be tougher than ever. Chris Burton returns after his spectacular season in 2018 to defend his title, whilst Laura Collett and Tim Price will surely be hungry to dethrone the reigning champion.
To win the ERM series in 2019, there's no doubt it's been weighing on our minds over the winter time. It's something we're thinking about. However, we'll take it day by day, we'll take it year by year, and it's a difficult sport with so many top riders and so many good horses.
I'm looking for obviously a market improvement this season. I think the unique thing with this series is you need a couple of horses. The way the series is formatted now, it's about being consistent across all legs.
I'm always very excited about the ERM series. Sometimes I wonder if getting excited about it has been my Achilles heel, because often when I've had a good time, it comes when I've just quietly gone about my business. So quietly confident would be my official answer, but I am genuinely very excited to get out there and get stuck in.
Standing in their way, however, will be a stellar field of world champions, Olympic heroes and ERM superstars.
I think it's always super competitive because every rider wants to win an ERM leg and every rider wants to win the series. It's about who's got the most consistent horses and who can really target each leg.
That's one of the greatest things about our sport. For me, it's us versus the course. It's us versus the show jumping, it's us versus the dressage test.
I don't have a personal nemesis within sport. I think we're most of the time battling against ourselves for better performances.
You know, if anything, I sort of admire, you know, what the other top guys are doing. Sometimes envious of a couple of horses or a string of horses they have at the time. But all of these things, I think, you know, drive you to work harder, train more, and hopefully finish that one step ahead of them.
You know, Gemma Tattersall, she's won it before. Tim Price, I've heard, is probably going to aim Wesco at a few, so obviously they're an amazing combination and he could be really hard to beat. Yeah, it's super competitive and looking forward to doing battle with everybody.
Well, there are going to be a number of contenders this weekend, but there are lots of ways for you guys at home to get involved as well with our official technology sponsors, SAP.
Offering for eventing fans in 2019. Test your expertise and judging skills in the Spectator Judging app and with EquiRating stacks. Fans on-site and at home can win outstanding prizes by judging, predicting, donating to the Wilbury charity and by interacting with the ERM media channels. Join the ERM Fan League today, presented by SAP Sports.
Well, there are so many ways that you can get involved this weekend. You want to build those ERM fan points as well. And we will see a number of our riders wearing their Wilbury Wonder ponies out on the cross country a little bit later on this afternoon. And SAP have offered the winning rider here this weekend if they wear this out on the course, and they've got a really handy little harness now as well, which Hannah's grandma has been making, so very easy to collect to your number bib. But if the winning rider wears their Wilbury Wonder pony, they will be in line for an additional €250 prize that SAP will actually double and donate to Wilbury's Wonder Pony charity in the rider's name should they donate to it. So it's a brilliant, brilliant cause. Do get involved. There's tons of ways you can do so, including through the EquiRating Stacks game. And actually, EquiRatings have been a huge part of the Event Rider Masters series, and this year we see the introduction of EquiRatings Corner. Derm has his very own space and he's going to tell us all the different ways that you at home can get involved.
Thanks, Nicole. Well, one of the key pieces of what we've done here at the Event Rider Masters is that link with SAP and all of the new technology coming out. Let's start with Stacks. So what actually are you doing? You can go to the App Store, you can go to the Google Play Store, you can download it there, but essentially you've got a list of questions. People love when they beat the EquiRatings predictions. This is your chance. As a starting point, the first rider out here has jumped 6 clear rounds in her last 8, and yet 70% of people are saying she's not going to jump clear here. Is it a tough ERM track? Is it because we don't know the rider? See if you can build your stack by beating our predictions, getting the answer right. Right now, Kirsten Rabb is on a stack of 10, and that's also the leading stack. Heather Reimer is on that 10 as well. A right answer will add to the stack. An incorrect one sends you all the way back to the start. We've also got spectator judging. People will know this, of course, from everything that we've done in dressage with Black Horse 1 and SAP. They've been really revolutionising the dressage world. But also don't forget about it in the show jumping and the cross country. You get an opportunity to see which fence will come down, who's going to jump the most clear rounds. There's so much more to spectator judging than just the dressage, so don't forget about it today. Right now, we're bringing together all of this technology under the Fan League concept. So you get an opportunity to add points all across the different apps. Use whichever one you like. Right now, Costa Rica, showing just how far the Event Rider Master stretches, and Dario Lenardic is in the lead. Don't forget, within the Fan League concept, you can also get points by donating to this year's official charity partner, Hannah's Wilbury Wonder Pony. We know all about it, but there's a big opportunity here. We've got the prediction centre, and finally this afternoon you're going to get another chance to use that XAP technology by looking at the speed cross country with those trackers. It's been a great partnership so far, so much to do. Nicole, pick whatever one you want, but it's going to be fun.
There are so many ways for you at home to get involved. Make sure you do so as well, because there are some huge prizes on offer. But here it is all about the jumping today. Yesterday was all about the dressage. Let's see just what happened.
Day one of the Dodson and Horrell Chatsworth International Horse Trials for leg one of the Event Rider Masters' epic journey this year, and with 5 of the world's top 10 in attendance. The Derbyshire Dales will have a test in store for competitors in the cross-country finale, but before that it was time to strut their stuff and set the standard for the competition ahead with the dressage. The weather had made the conditions tough for the competitors to perform to their predicted level, but the horsemanship shown by the world's very best means the standard is still very high. Australia's Bill Levitt and his Event Rider Masters specialist, Shannondale Titan, performed almost exactly to expectations, scoring a 28.5 and putting them in third. Bringing Amand de Benneville was German Olympian Julia Krajewski. Accruing just 27.4 penalties from our judges, she slotted into second place and might have a new superstar and German Championship team horse on her hands. But it was Event Rider Masters podium pair from 2018, Laura Collett and London 52, who bested the field. Their score of 26.9, set at the beginning of our final session, lasted through to hold the overnight lead.
He was super. He's still so shy, and in an atmosphere like that he does get a little bit tense, but he stayed with me. He was pretty scared going down the centre line the first time when he saw the tower, so every time he went up that end he kind of froze a bit, but luckily he didn't do anything too drastic.
Join us for all the show jumping and cross-country action live on Facebook and eventridermasters.tv and see who will take victory at this first leg of the 2019 Event Rider Masters.
Well, let's take a look at the leaderboard. This is how the standings are after the first of the 3 phases. Laura Collett, London 52, out in front. Their Echo Ratings favourites to win here this weekend, 26.9. Julia Krajewski and Amanda Benneville, 27.4, just sitting in second. Bill Levitt, Shannondale Titan, firm favourites in the Event Rider Masters series, currently sitting in third. Gemma Tattersall, quick look, were fourth after dressage. Gemma disappointed with that, and actually news coming through that Gemma has withdrawn, so she will not be coming forward to the jumping phases. Keep an eye out for Sam Watson and Tullabeg Flamenco to climb the leaderboard, and here come the young guns. Bobby Upton, Molly Summerland, Yasmin Ingham, Eliza Stoddart, all making their Event Rider Masters debuts here this weekend, all very well placed. And then a little bit further on, some disappointment for Chris Burton with his exciting new ride, Lawtown Chloe, 36.7, but still close enough in touch with our leaders, because just 2 poles in the show jumping covering the top 19 after the first of the phases. So it is going to be a real movement on the leaderboard in both the jumping phases, not only in the show jumping, but also we know the time here at Chatsworth is tough as well. Angus Miles in the studio with me. Angus, let's just take a moment to look back on yesterday, because the dressage conditions were tough.
It was a very difficult day really for all the riders, because obviously there was a lot of rain during the day. We had showers actually whilst they were riding, and that makes the ground just a little bit more tacky. When I say tacky, you know, the horses, their feet actually physically go down into the ground, you know, 2-3 inches. Then the arena gets cut up. So, you know, we train these horses to be very, very specific on how we do everything, and then they get a muddy arena. It can suddenly just throw you off your rhythm.
It is 3-day eventing. It is a tough sport. Now, in terms of our leader, Laura Collett, she was brilliant in there yesterday.
Well, there's so many good riders on this leaderboard, and a few of them I really enjoy watching, and Laura's right up there. You know, she rides beautifully on the flat, and when she has a horse that she really gets on with, there's not really anyone much better, to be fair.
Well, can she hold on to the top spot? That's the question we want answering. And we're going to go back to Echo Ratings Corner to see just how you're going to win here at Chatsworth this weekend.
Firstly, let's start with the show jumping. For me, Nicole, let's keep this really simple. Only 2 Event Rider Masters leg winners have ever knocked a pole. So we can look at all of the stats we want. We can look at the best show jumpers. We can look at the ones who might knock a pole. But let's keep this really simple. If you want to stay in touch, you pretty much have to keep the poles up. That's going to be a challenge on a die body track. We go to the top 5. So our 3 ERM winners at this particular venue have all been in the top 5 after dressage. Taking a look, Laura Collett, London 52, and Julia Krajewski, they're currently on the prediction centre, still the most likely to go out and win this all the way. Bill Levitt, Pippa Funnell, and Sarah Cohen-Treason, we know about Treason Speed, another leg winner. Nicole just mentioned this, and Chatsworth we know is a track about speed. Chris Burton is 22nd right now of 29. He's 9.8 points off the leader. He is going to be able to make up that speed, but he has got to keep the poles up. That's a critical round for us this afternoon. I don't want him falling too much further behind, but 22nd of 29 going in here, it would be a massive climb for an Event Rider Masters class for Lawtown Cloyd to do that dressage and make it all the way back. He has it in him. The best jumpers. Let's take a look at who we should be taking a look at this afternoon. Susie Berry from Ireland. We've got Tim Lips. That's going to be a really early and very good indication as to how this is going to jump. Eclipse, very good jumper. Last 12 months, 4 from 5 have been clear. I've got Julia Krajewski, I've got Laura Collett, and of course, Alexander Bragg and Zagreb. They're our top 5 rated show jumpers for this afternoon. The prediction centre, I've mentioned it briefly. Laura Collett and Julia Krajewski out in front at the moment. You can also go onto the prediction centre, available at echoratings.com or eventridermasters.tv. You'll also be able to look at who the big winners were from yesterday. Julia Krajewski, Sam Watson and Bubby Upton are the 3 which we're looking at as the big movers towards percentage chances of getting on the podium. Check those numbers out. I'll leave it with this, Nicole. It is this simple. You have got to keep the poles up. Our winner, I would suggest, is very, very unlikely to knock one.
Well, only 2 people have knocked one in history. One was last year at the ERM series finale, Chris Burton with Graph Liberty, who went on to top the podium and take it with him, the series podium as well. But we've a field packed full of superstars. And one lady has been on incredible form this year. She's the defending champion here at Chatsworth. Let's find a bit more about Piggy French.
I was brought up with ponies. My mum evented herself, just the normal pony club. You know, we were very fortunate that we did always have a pony. I was fairly obsessed with eventing. My bedroom wall was covered, even the front and back and the door and the ceiling, to be honest. I was just so obsessed with famous event horses and event riders. I was a massive fan of Mary King, who I used to write to every birthday and Christmas. Yeah, then it was great to just have the support from owners and things that have come along that have made it possible to happen for me. From whatever horse I had and whatever level it was at, I was always obsessed with improving that horse or getting it to be as good as it could to compete at whatever level it was at. You know, yes, I've got a little boy now who is my world, my little boy Max, who's nearly 3 years old. Tom, my partner, who's been absolutely amazing, has helped raise him with me. We're a team together. I have Castletown Clover in the Event Rider Masters, and he is pretty inexperienced at this level, to be honest. He has done 1 full-star short already this year. No, I wouldn't say he was going to be top of the leaderboard at all. He's still quite green in the dressage. You know, it's 50-50 whether we can get a flying change or not. You know, so he's got no pressure on him, but he's a fabulous little jumper, and this will definitely be his biggest test to date. I mean, it's such a fantastic class, this, and we're so lucky in our sport to have it. You definitely need a special type of horse to be able to do it and do it well, to get, you know, anywhere near being on the podium at the end of the year. And I won here last year and it was just incredible. There was never a moment that I thought, oh, I've made it. And I don't think you can still even have that attitude now, to be honest, because horses are such levellers. And as soon as you just think things are going right, you quite quickly don't. So it's been my job, it's been my hobby, it's been my life.
Well, it'd be brilliant to see Piggy getting back on top of that podium here this weekend. We'll be cheering her on. Castletown Clover in 19th position after the dressage. But we're just a few minutes now away from the start of the show jumping, which will take place in the arena just over our shoulders. And Hannah is out there enjoying the sunshine.
I really am enjoying the sunshine, Nicole. Quite a difference from yesterday. But as you've seen from our VTs, we have the most star-studded field. And the 3 guests joining me now are no exception to that rule. We have currently got our 3rd place, 2nd place and 1st place after phase 1. Bill Levitt, I said it was the year of the Bill.
Well, the first phase has gone well. So my horse is a tidy jumper. The ground is a little bit sticky. So, but we'll see. You know, you always come in on Alfie feeling like you have a chance to jump clear, and the time will be tight, so I'll have to keep my lines very tight and not hang around on the turns.
And I think that's it, isn't it? You say the ground is quite sticky, it's quite springy. It doesn't make for an easy platform to jump off.
No, the horses, sometimes they come in and they take a few fences to get used to it, but the warm-up's similar ground, so you'd like to think when they come in here they'll be used to just having to put in that little extra effort to clear the poles.
Okay, well, best of luck, Bill. Julia Kreisky is currently in 2nd place at the moment. What do you think of the ground? What do you think of the course?
Well, yeah, we are not, being German, we are not used to jumping on like rather sticky grass. But on the other hand, you never know when you come to a really important big event and have to do it. So actually, I think it's good to see how they cope. And my mare is normally a very good jumper. And I hope she just jumps a little bit higher, so we hopefully will be fine.
Okay, well, fingers crossed for that. Good luck, Julia. And finally, Laura Collett, you had a magnificent round on London 52 yesterday, and he's a lovely jumper. Are you excited?
Look, he's an amazing horse, but I was in this position last year on another amazing horse, and I managed to mess it up, so hopefully we won't do the same again.
But rumour has it you had a very tidy round earlier on one of your other horses.
Yeah, Da Capo jumped amazing. He just had the last fence down. I think he just almost got a little bit tired because he was putting so much effort in, and that's the thing. London's never jumped on ground like this, so it's an unknown quantity, but yeah, he's fantastic and I wouldn't swap him. So.
Now, Di Body, who designed this course, she's notorious for designing hard courses, tight times. What do you think of her course?
Well, she always produces this kind of track. It makes you think. You've got to be riding forward, and the lines are tight, the time will be tight. So it's a proper jumper's track, and fingers crossed I'm sat on a jumper.
Okay, well, best of luck to you, Laura, and all 3 of you. Well, it is going to be a tough track out here in the show jumping. All the rest of the riders walking the course currently, and all the action kicks off in just a couple of minutes.
Well, let's take a look at the order in which combinations will be coming forward. Marlin Josephson Agaton will give us a really good indication straight off as first to go. 45.1 in the dressage, but this is a combination that have jumped clear on their last 6 out of 8 international runs. Keep an eye out for Tim Lips Eclipse and Ludwig Svenestall Stinger as well to put in good performances, and also Chris Burton Lawtown Chloe. If he can jump clear, watch out for him on the cross country. Here come the younger guns making their Event Rider Masters debut, Eliza Stoddart, Yasmin Ingham, and then it is that man, the 2016 series champion, Oliver Townend with Ulysses, a horse who jumped clear here 12 months ago. That was the horse's only clear round in this phase in his 6 internationals, or his last 6 international runs, so he needs to leave the pole standing this time. Molly Summerlin, Charlie Van ter Huyten as well, keep an eye out for them. Then it is the top 10 coming forward in reverse order. Alex Bragg, Zagreb, Sam Watson, Tullabeg, Flamenco. Sam jumped clear on this horse here 12 months ago. Would love to do the same again. Gemma Tattersall, quick look. They've withdrawn, so will not be coming forward. Julia Krajewski, the penultimate rider to go, will be putting the pressure on Laura Collett and London 52. Laura was the last to jump here with Mr. Bass as the dressage leaders in 2018. She had a pole on that occasion, ended up finishing in 4th place overall. She would love to put those demons to rest and jump a clear round and top the podium here. Sarah Cohen walking the course with trees and a winner in Wiesbaden a couple of years ago. And Sarah would absolutely be one of the most consistent competitors on the course. Well, we'll be getting underway in just a moment. Angus, you've walked Di Body show jumping track. What were your thoughts?
Well, we heard Laura mention it earlier. She said the words, it's a proper jumpers track, and I would completely agree with her. The show jumping tracks for the show jumpers are far more technical than the eventing tracks, and this is right up there with them. There's some very interesting turns between 6 and 7, which would be a real opportunity to save time. And the line from 10 to 11, that's one of mine to watch for, because I think the people that cut it might knock the first element down.
Well, we'll watch this space. Marlin Josefsson is going to get us underway with Agaton. Marlin, who's been well placed in Event Rider Masters Series previously, 45.1. This horse, relatively inexperienced, only a 9-year-old coming forward in his first Event Rider Masters leg. But as I said a little bit earlier on, has jumped clear in 6 of his last 8 international runs. So this is going to give us a really good indication as first out. Angus, talk us through it.
Well, a lot of the riders will be now stood watching these first few riders, because we want to know how tight they turn, how many strides they put in certain elements, and also if the time is very tight, where they think they can make time up. The ground, as we heard Bill say earlier about the ground as well, it is tacky, it is drying though.
Glorious sunshine here, and it is forecast here today as well, so long may it continue.
Well, I was about to say this horse was jumping nicely there. The rail comes down. So that's 4 faults.
Well, that'll give those coming behind her a bit of breathing space.
Now that water tray there that you've just seen a jump, that is big and that is square. The water tray, you saw Marlin's horse there just duck its head down and have a look. It's quite common, the horses, to do that.
Had to work hard coming into the first part of the combination.
Yeah, she got the 5 strides though down to the vertical. Now this is the line that I mentioned earlier, 10 to 11. It'd be interesting to see how tight they try and turn. And this is a common, you see it just rattle it, it's a common problem.
Well, coming down to the Event Rider Masters planks, so taking the direct option, the clock is absolutely fine. Over 7 seconds left on there. So the clock is green, 8 to add, 53.1. So we'll watch the clock on the next couple of combinations to see if the ground jury do wish to review it. But she was comfortably inside there.
She was comfortably inside there. If I was watching that, sat in the top 10, I'd be thinking, actually, I don't have to take as many risks
How much of a difference does that make? If you know the time is fairly relaxed, you don't have to take the risk.
Well, we saw in her round there where she turned up very tight and was a little bit close to the poles in front. It's just an extra risk, whereas that extra stride, it's a long time.
Well, we will watch this space and keep you updated. Now it is a young man called Toby Piggott with Carol Jackson Bell's Golden Forever, a combination who really impressed on their Event Rider Masters debut at Barbury last year. Finished in 11th place there, 43.5 their starting score, and so far so good.
Yeah, very good. Again, very tight turn so far, but he's not moving on that much in between. You see the horse wants to go quicker, and I'm betting that if he let the horse go a little bit quicker, he'd be slightly less careful.
But he is not wasting a second on those turns back.
No, it's an incredibly good turn there. Commentator's curse.
Welcome to my world. Just the one pole down. He'll hold his position if he can get home with no more jumping penalties. Actually, he does just need to keep a bit of an eye on the clock.
I said he really isn't moving that quick.
Now he's going to take the slightly longer alternative, isn't he? Just talk us through the difference there.
Well, the planks and the oxer, planks are notoriously harder to ride to, and the horse is more likely to knock them down because they're much more upright. The disadvantage of going the oxer is that the time beams are further away from the oxer, and the oxer's further away from the fence before, so it's time penalties you risk.
Well, we're going to watch that time because he was actually inside quite easily, and as I say, the ground jury can review it after the first 3 riders. So here comes a man who actually won here 12 months ago in a different section. It is Cathal Daniels, and his World Equestrian Games silver medalist ride, Ryogan Rua. He rode so tactfully in the dressage yesterday. The mare can be a little bit tricky at times. She's exceptionally talented, but she got extremely tense, and Cahill did a brilliant job to keep a lid on it. He's on a score of 40.2.
Be very interesting if they do anything with that time, because neither of those first two riders really looked that quick.
Well, this is a mare that Cahill knows so exceptionally well. They've came up through junior young riders together, medalled at both of them as well, and then of course went on to a silver medal at the World Games as part of the Irish team. His teammate Sam Watson actually coming forward a little bit later on.
Well, Cahill giving this mare a very good ride so far. And the mare, it's not one I know a lot about, but watching her so far.
She's such a feisty little mare, and I'd be really interested to see her on the cross country, because if you said earlier the ground might be a little bit tacky, she's so light and nimble and tiny and speedy and quick on her feet.
Yeah, and if you're sinking into the ground, the heavier you are, the further you sink. It's that simple. So being a little bit lighter will help for sure.
Well, clear so far as he comes down the final line. Cahill Daniels, Ryogen Ruhr rubs the second part of the SAP combination and gets the blanks. He's clear through the final finish line as well. Easily inside the time, 40.2. Cahill Daniels, Ryogen Ruhr give us our first clear. Put him.
Time taken for Cahill Daniels and Ryogen Ruhr. They stay on.
Well, now next to come forwards in just a second will be Tim Lips and Eclipse, but Cahill Daniels has given us our first clear round with Ryogen Ruhr, and here is the man from the Netherlands. It is Tim Lips. Tim, who's been fourth previously in an Event Rider Masters leg. That was Wiesbaden last year with the Byro, the horse on whom he went to go on to win a Dutch national title at Boekelo at the end of last year. There's a younger horse, got a little bit tense in the dressage yesterday, and Tim really did show all of his experience, gave the horse a really good feeling and built his confidence towards the end of the test. 39.8, cannot afford a pole to go to stay ahead of Cahill Daniels.
Both very scopy, Eclipse. It's jumping very well so far. They're really giving the fences a lot of airtime, which as a rider fills you full of confidence. Makes your job a little bit easier. So that turn there between 6 and 7, Tim really coming in very tight to the vertical at 7, which gives you the opportunity to really save time. So Tim still clear, and this has been so far my round of the day.
And actually this is one that Equiratings would have up as one of the predicted clear rounds, and he does that easily inside the time. So 39.8, Tim Lips gives us clear round number 2, and actually that was a very, very cool and calm round from this man.
That was a very, very good round. I said probably my round of the day so far. This young horse said it got tense yesterday, but it certainly didn't show any signs of that today. Beautiful round. As we see just a couple of highlights, and you see the horse's scope.
Well, brilliant to see some of the European riders coming in and making their mark on the first leg over here. Of course, a number of European venues coming up, and they want to get those series points. Well, now it is for Sweden, one of 2 Swedish riders in the field, Ludvig Svenestål and Stinger, and he has the fast, which will prove an expensive pole for him.
That won't please Ludvig too much. He's a very competitive rider. And the second falls as well.
That's fine.
It's a very electric atmosphere here at Chatsworth. You know, the crowd are very close to the arena, and it really can light the horses up. And sadly, Stinger just taking a few fences to get into his round, but he's growing into it.
It was expensive 2 poles, though, at a very early part of the round. 46.8, and that goes as well. So another 4 to add.
That's you'll see him. All right.
So Ludvig comes now, the final line, as it were, this double. And you see him shift right to come back left to give himself just that little bit more room to the double of verticals.
And he's another to play it safe and go to the slightly longer option, but the time is more than achievable. So 3 poles down, he's on 50.8. It drops him 3 places on the leaderboard, and Ludvig Svenestål will have be ruining those poles down. Pretty expensive round from him.
Yeah, and it was interesting, he took the option at the end there. It gives him a little bit more room, which gives him the opportunity to give the horse a bit of confidence, because obviously it didn't have the best of times in the show jumping there, and it's a much easier fence to jump.
Well, 3 down for Ludvig Svenestål, but the lady in charge is Di Body.
Di Body, how do you think the track is playing out?
Super, I'm very pleased with it. The ground is now drying up in front of our eyes, so that's a bonus, because we were looking for green bits last night, I can tell you, after the rain. But it's, yeah, I'm pleased with it, and the horses are jumping it fabulous.
Well, there you go. You heard from the lady herself, and it really is jumping well. Thanks, Di.
Thank you.
She's a very, very clever course designer, is Di Body. And here comes the man who actually topped the podium back in 2016. Astier Nicolas, Arpage du Mancel, the horse he brings forward this time, 37.4 in the dressage. And Astier won here with Piaf de Bonneville and has previously made the time on Ian Stark's cross-country track with Quickly de Bouger a few years ago as well. This a younger horse that is less experienced, only 1 run at the level previously, but no better man on board than the individual silver medalist from the Rio Olympic Games.
Well, this horse definitely looking a little bit feisty, probably. It's the best way of describing it. I said it's a very electric atmosphere, and you can see the shot there, how close the crowd are to the arena. Now, with a young horse, that can really just mess with their heads a little bit, and they don't concentrate as much.
Well, that pole down drops him below Cattle Daniels and Ryogan Ruick.
So Astier, he is now coming to the treble, which is on 1 and 2 strides. And then 5 down to this Dodson Horrell vertical. Now, when I walked that, I thought it was quite short. And there you see his horse just really eating the distance and finding it quite tight.
Got in a little bit close, paid the price. So 2 poles down, and actually the clock is looking pretty dangerous as well for Astier. 0.4 of a penalty for every second over the time. show jumping now mirrors that of cross country, and he's going to run into time penalties too. So 2 poles down and 1.6 time penalties, 4 seconds over. 47.0 drops him a couple of places on the leaderboard, and Cathal Daniels, Ryogan Ruat start the climb.
To be fair, the first one of our riders to get time, but on the way round, his turns were a lot wider than the ones we've seen so far. He really was actually giving this horse a little bit more time, but as you said, young horse, first run, second run at this level, second run.
Well, Astier Nicolas, 9.6 to add to his total score in total for France, the sole French competitor here in the class this weekend, as here comes Flora Harris. Flora rides amazing, and this is a horse that was a little bit on edge in the dressage yesterday. Flora did a great job on keeping a lid on the mare's excitement. 37.2 her starting score. She missed the 2016 and 2017 seasons, this horse, back out competing at this level last year. And Flora, the best Event Rider Masters finish of 4th place at Barbary last year.
This horse really does want to clear the poles. It's not got as good a technique as some of the ones we've seen so far, but it really wants to clear the poles. And I always say the relationship the horse has with the fence is incredibly important, because they have to want to jump the jumps.
And you can see the expression on this horse's face. She so wants to enjoy the job.
Well, Flora was not on the best of strides there, put it politely, to the ox, into the treble, and the horse really, really tried, still wanted to try and jump it.
Well, 1 pole down drops her behind Tim Lips and behind Cathal Daniels, so 2 places on the leaderboard. The time looks absolutely fine as she goes to take the slightly more straightforward oxer, and she'll stop the clock inside that time allowed of 84 seconds. 1 pole down, 41.2. Do you think she'll be kicking herself a bit for that, Angus?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, we always, as riders, when we come out the ring, we have to, you know, be honest with ourselves. Was the pole the horse's fault or our fault? That was her fault. Sorry, Flora.
Well, amazing. Maisie, as she's known at home, is a real yard favourite. They're delighted to have her back in top-level competition. And she just drops a couple of places with that 1 pole down. Well, next to come forwards, it is a man who topped the series podium in 2018. He's the defending series champion. He topped 2 leg podiums as well in Arville and up at the series finale at Blair Castle too. It is Chris Burton for Australia with Lawtown Chloe. There's a new ride for him, a horse produced up to the level in Germany by Anna Sima. So they're still getting to know each other. Jump clear at Bicton at the level below on their only international run this year.
I have to say, a lack of knowledge of the horse doesn't seem to bother Chris. He has
Does
this,
anything bother Chris?
no, he has this uncanny knack, doesn't he, of just making them go well.
He did get on TS Jemimo about 3 days before Adelaide 5-star and win on the horse's debut at the level. So he's a bit of a master of his trade. Lawtown Chloe, 36.7 is their score. Couldn't afford a pole to hold that position, and he's lived a little bit dangerously at times.
Well, he's a little bit lucky there, but, you know, they say he catches you out eventually. He should really have had the oxer out, the treble down. The horse tried very hard, but then sadly paid the price at the vertical after.
Well, 1 pole down drops him 2 places on the leaderboard behind Tim Lips and behind Cathal Daniels.
It's interesting that's becoming the favourite route now, down the option.
It's almost like they're happier to take a little bit of tighter lines through the course and just play it safe at the last. So Chris Burton, Lawtown Chloe, 1 to add.
Lawtown Chloe will be on 40.7 penalties.
Well, Chris Burton will be ruining that pole down with Lawtown Chloe.
Are our next to go.
As here comes one of two German riders in the field, making his first visit to Chatsworth. It is Christoph Wohler and Carriatan, 36.1 dressage. This horse has the potential to be so incredible in that first phase, but tension just got the better of him a little bit yesterday. But Christoph already had one very good run around at Ian Stark's cross-country track in the other 4-star, so he's been out on course. He knows what the ground and the going is like, and he'll be looking forward to bringing this horse forward a little bit later on, no doubt. If he jumps clear, he holds his position and will no doubt climb up the top 20, but cannot afford to have a pole down to stay ahead of Tim Lips and Eclipse.
This horse definitely just a little bit on edge, isn't it, as he come into the arena? Be interesting to see whether he just relaxes into the round or not.
Well, coming forward on that score of 36.1. Christoph, a former individual bronze medalist for Germany in the Young Rider Europeans, and this is a horse that does want to leave the poles up, Angus.
Yeah, definitely. I said it was just a little bit edgy to start with, but as he picked up canter and started to come in his rhythm to the first fence, the horse just dropped its neck a bit, relaxed a bit, and then they concentrate on the job in hand. And I was going to say, he's got a very nice jump on it, but just slightly over its shoulder there, and front rail came down.
When you say over his shoulder, what do you...
Well, you see, that was perfect timing. She jumped over that vertical there, how the horse's front legs come up and out in front of them. And when they jump over the shoulders, the front legs stay a little bit more underneath them, and they almost roll over their shoulder.
One pole down would keep him ahead of Ryogan Ruhr and Lawtown Chloe. So he needs to limit that damage. It would only drop him one place on the leaderboard as he comes down this final line. And just easily inside the time. So one pole down, it only costs him a place. Carriatan, Christoph Wohler, 40.1 they take forward to the cross-country Ian Stark's track a little bit later on. You can see the riders there just watching on, making their final preparations. And Christoph just saluting to our ground jury before the start of his round. It's important to do that, isn't it? Because the ground jury don't just judge the dressage, Angus.
No, they judge, they're there everything. They're in charge of the smooth running and making sure everyone obeys the rules.
Discipline, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
We all have to obey someone.
You do? Well, here comes Susie Berry, one of 3 Irish combinations in the field, and this is up as one of Equirating's predicted clear rounds based on the clears that we've had so far, and unfortunately knocks out the second. The horse looks to really sort of put his head up going into a fence.
Yeah, it's interesting. She's got the sheepskin noseband on Stone Edge's bridle, which is the idea is that when they put their head up too high, it restricts their vision so that then they drop their head a little bit more. But it is interesting because horses do actually see they see the best out the bottom of their eyes. So I personally don't mind when a horse puts its head up because it normally means it can see better.
Okay. You learn something new every day, Angus. You learn something new every day.
Knowledge.
One pole down actually keeps her in her same position as she comes up this final line. So she would stay ahead of Tim Lips and Eclipse if she can remain clear. And she takes the planks and stops the clock easily inside. So 39.6. And actually, we've seen that clock staying green. We've only seen one person picking up time penalties. And it is giving riders just that little extra bit of breathing room.
You're seeing some very interesting plans. And I rode in this arena yesterday, and I very much had to have a plan because of the ground and the way my horse jumps and the course that's been put out. And you see the riders, they really are riding the different styles of horses very differently. They're cutting corners, taking time to things that they think the horse might struggle with, but they're allowed to do that because the time isn't riding that tight.
Well, we just saw her expensive pole there, and that just does give this lady a little bit of breathing room. It is Izzy Taylor with Spring Power 35.2 in 19th position, and actually Izzy now within nearly 2 fences of our leaders after the first phase, Laura Collett, London 52. So she is well in touch with the top of the leaderboard. Equa ratings are saying 1 pole for Izzy and Spring Power. And this is one of the horses that actually was entered at Badminton last week, Angus, and Izzy's rerouted here, having things not quite gone to plan. This is a horse that's fit.
Very fit, and Izzy is one of the fastest cross-country riders, well, in the world. So if she jumps a clear round, it'll be very interesting how close to the podium she might get.
She was on the podium 12 months ago, but 1 pole down just keeps her in 19th position, but that will drop her some 6 places. That second pole proving really expensive.
With the second pole, like you said, 1 behind, 1 in front.
Actually, this proving quite an expensive round so far. 3 down for Izzy and Spring Power.
And you see that after that third pole fell, she took a lot of time around the corner to number 10. Actually, she's had 3 down. If she goes over on the clock now, it doesn't really matter. What's important is that she gives the horse a good ride to the finish so that it leaves the ring with a bit of confidence.
Well, certainly does so, and actually the time is absolutely fine. So Izzy Taylor and Spring Power 3 down. See them drop some 7 places on the leaderboard, 47.2. And that's unfortunate for Izzy. Piggy French next to come forwards. But Izzy, I think she'll be pretty disappointed with that, Angus.
Yeah, 3 down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say no more.
Yeah.
Well, the leaderboard is certainly pretty tight as it stands. Susie Berry is the clubhouse leader at the moment, 39.6. She'll be inside the top 20 going forward to the cross-country a little bit later on this afternoon. As next to come forward, it is Piggy French. Piggy with Susanna Paybody's Castletown Clover. It's a horse that Piggy spoke so fondly of in her Life in the Balance feature, which we saw a little bit earlier on. She's a lady in incredible form. 4th place in Kentucky, a win at Badminton with Veneer Camira, and of course the defending champion. She won here 12 months ago with Quarry Crest Echo.
That was good, went high. Said earlier when Izzy's around confidence, and in this sport confidence is an amazing thing, and this lady is riding the crest of a wave. And the horse is just going higher and higher. It's almost as if, I don't want to put the curse on it, but everything that she touches at the minute turns to gold. So,
well, this horse only 1 previous run at the 11. That was at Burnham Market a little bit earlier on this year. Jumped clear on that occasion. And he's just, I have a feeling, I want to take this one home.
I can see why she spoke quite fondly of the horse, because it really does try, and it looks quite fun, to be fair. You watching it and thinking, actually,
looked a bit disorganised around the corner there.
She's on the crest of a wave then.
She's riding it. Well, she's just actually got to keep a little bit of an eye on that clock. And I think the second part of that combination went. So yes, it'll keep her in 18th position, or no worse than, but a pole down for Piggy French, Castletown Clover 38.2. Perhaps just showing a little bit of the horse's inexperience.
Yeah, you can see as the round went on, the horse became more difficult to ride, and it got slightly scrappier and a little bit messier. And then the hardest lines right at the end there, and the second part fell.
Well, Piggy French was an absolute master across the country here 12 months ago with Quarry Crest Echo. We'll look forward to seeing her a little bit later on with this horse. But 1 pole down sees them just drop their penalty score to 38.2. She stays ahead of actually Susie Berry, who's based with Piggy. So it is a French yard 1-2 at the moment. Next to come forwards, it is Emily Philp. Emily rides Ian Wills's Falula. This is a horse that won Hartbury long format 3-star last year, was produced by Ian Wills up to Lilian Danger's 7-year-old World Championships before Emily took on the ride. 33.2 their starting score, so could afford a pole to stay ahead of Piggy French.
Well, so far so good. I'm not sure whether this horse looks very big, or I know Emily's not the tallest rider, but is it a big horse? It looks very big.
You're putting me on the spot now, because I have to admit I don't know how high he is. Or she is, I should say. Just rattles the Equitrek upright, but gets away with it.
It's economical with its jumps. Tidy, very tidy. See how tight snaps up with the front legs.
Would it just be me, or does Emily ride with a longer rein?
Well, that's what I was sort of saying. She looks like she's riding a really big horse, and she is sitting up with her body, but then the reins get longer and longer. So yeah, you're...
Well, coming down the final line on a clear round so far. She's got to watch the clock. Oh, the planks go. She played the lottery, and she, unfortunately, it didn't quite come off. 1 pole down, but Emily Philp delighted with Falula. And I did like to say during the round, but this horse, show jumping can be a weak link at times. Capable of jumping a clear round, but I think Emily pretty happy with that 1 pole down.
Yeah, she looks very happy, to be fair. I mean, she gave it quite a good round. Like you said, she had quite long reins, but she was trying to use her body.
Next to come forwards, it is Eliza Stoddart.
So our next to go.
Eliza rides Prior Spark opposition free, 32.9 in 16th position coming forwards. And on a score, as I say, of 32.9. And actually, she could afford a pole again to stay ahead of Emily Philp and Falula, but a clear round would really see her climb up the leaderboard. This is a horse that has excels in the cross-country phase. Liable to the odd pole in the show jumping, but Eliza, a very, very talented young jockey. And she'll be looking to put in a good performance on her Event Rider Masters debut. And actually taking a fairly longer route round to the second. Do you think word's got back, Angus, that the time is more than achievable?
Yeah, it will do for sure. And like you just said, this horse hasn't jumped that many clear rounds. So that little bit extra time, it gives Eliza the chance to do what she's doing, which is basically trying to hold the front end a little bit further away from the fence so that the horse has more time to come up in front. And there's a very good example of it. The horse wanted to accelerate down to the fence a lot quicker than Eliza would allow it. We call it just giving them a little bit more room.
Middle part of the accommodation goes, and unfortunately runs into difficulty, Angus.
Unfortunately, if you get in a line like that with a treble to a vertical, if you get the first part wrong, it's very difficult to save yourself during it because it comes up so quick, and there's a prime example of it.
Well, she's taking the slightly longer route down to the Wilbury Wonder Pony Oxa, and rattles it but clears it, and 3 down for Eliza Stoddart. Prior Spark opposition free, 44.9 sees her go down to 24th, so we'll drop her outside of the top 20 coming forwards. She was in 17th position, so proving pretty expensive. 7 places on the leaderboard it costs her. Only the 2 clear rounds so far, though.
Next to go will be Yasmin.
And we'll just get to see a couple of the problems Eliza had here, Angus.
Yeah, he's just slightly got in a bit of a muddle there.
Well, next to come forwards, it is Yasmin Ingham with Sue and Edwin Davis and Jeanette Chin's Rihi DJ. 32.7 dressage. This is a combination who finished 4th individually at the Young Rider European Championships last year. Relatively inexperienced at this level, but Yasmin so impressive in the dressage yesterday. And in the top 15. So we're to the reverse order show jumping here. The last to jump will be our leaders. But so far, Yasmin really has been hugely impressive, Angus.
Well, I'm enjoying this round so far. This horse is a lovely jumper, spending a lot of time in the air, which as a rider you can see she can ride much more positively to the fences, because the horse, in complete contrast to Eliza's round before, where she was having to physically hold the horse away from the fence, this naturally is propping itself and goes a lot higher consequently.
Well, this is a real round to watch. Yasmin Ingham coming down the final line. It's her Event Rider Masters debut, and she could be about to put the pressure on. Clear round number 3, 32.7. And again, one of the Equi ratings that predicted clear rounds. Yasmin Ingham absolutely delighted with that, and so she should be. She'll climb, could even be into the top 10.
Have a lot of competitors in that range of 31-32 penalties, and it can make a big difference to their results.
Well, I know you really did enjoy this round, Angus, and we'll come back and hopefully hear from Yasmin in a few minutes. But Emily, Phil, Hannah, she was so close to a clear round.
She really was. Emily, I mean, it was a beautiful round, just that final plank.
Oh, I know, how frustrating. But she jumped a little heart out for me. She tried so hard, and I'm thrilled. So, yeah, very frustrating, but yeah, brilliant.
Everyone talked about how upright you were sitting on a long rein. Why is that?
I've been up to Chris Bartle a few times, and that mare gets her neck quite short and back at me. And we found by just, Chris loves his longer rein, but to give the longer rein and just keep my body up, it helps her to just come off the front rails. Otherwise, she can just be a little bit slower in front. Especially with the ground being a bit tacky, I can just have the odd front rail. So,
best of luck this afternoon, Emily.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, Yasmin Ingham, 73% of you guys at home playing along on the Equi Rating Stacks game said she would jump clear. And there is a new Stacks leader as well. The highest stack is 13. Alice out in front, so that is the one to beat. Now it is Oliver Townend, the 2016 series champion, comes forward with Ulysses, owned by Paul and Diana Ridgeon, a full brother to his 5-star campaigner Armada. 32.3 dressage in 14th position after the first phase. And this is a horse who actually jumped clear in this very arena 12 months ago, when on his way to winning one of the other 4-star sections. Hasn't jumped clear in any of his other 5 runs in his last 6 internationals, so needs to leave the poles up this time. And the vertical in the middle part of the triple is actually that has gone down most frequently.
Little rattle in front there for Ulysses. I mean, if any man can jump a clear round against the odds, it will be this man. When he puts his mind to it, there's not a lot he can't do. You see Oliver giving Ulysses a very, very precise round. He's putting him on a sixpence basically at every single fence.
Oh, just catching the back rail of that vertical, and that drops him below Yasmin Ingham. Only the one place on the leaderboard, but that will be more expensive, and he drops outside of the top 20.
very expensive now.
It started off as a really, really strong, clean round, though, Angus. What happened in the second half of his round that changed?
Oliver, like I said, was giving a very precise round, and I think, to be brutally honest, it was more his talent to start with than the horse's natural jumping ability. We know it's a very good cross-country horse, we know it's a very good dressage horse, but unfortunately we've got to be a master of all trades, and it's inevitable that one phase will be weaker than the other.
Well, that is one of the biggest things of an event horse. You expect them to be calm and relaxed and expressive in the dressage. They've got to be cool, calm, clear in the show jumping, and then they've got to be brave, powerful and fast in the cross country. So 3 down for the 2016 Event Rider Masters Series champion Oliver Townend. As next to come forward, it is Kirsty Johnston with WTTL Opposition Skylaw, 32.2 dressage in 12th position. We're top 10 in our Veal last summer. Kirsty had a bit of time out, had a baby back, and put in a very good performance in the dressage yesterday. Knows this mare so well.
You see, in contrast to Oliver, what we were talking about earlier, Kirsty's horse Opposition Skylaw, it has a much better relationship in front with the fence. It's a lot cleaner, it's a lot scopier in front. So therefore she can consequently, I was saying, be a little bit softer with her hand.
Well, that will drop Kirsty behind Yasmin Ingham, but keep her ahead of Emily Phillips. So just the one place on the leaderboard.
A lot of horses finding that treble short. A lot of horses.
Consequently running on to have the vertical as well.
Which again I thought was short when I walked it. I walked the double and I thought the treble, sorry, and I thought the first part was quite open, and I thought the Oxer would ride short, and then it gets you in a bit of a downward spiral.
Rattling the second part of the SAP combination, but clear of the final Event Rider Masters planks. 3 down in total for WTTL Opposition Skylaw, Kirsty Johnston.
Will be the score for Kirsty Johnston and WTTL Opposition Skylaw for this afternoon's cross country. It will bring Yasmin Ingham up another place on her leading score of 32.7.
Yeah, so as we were talking about, once you get into a combination like that, and a combination, the treble, and here we see the highlights, down to this vertical, once you're in a bit of a pickle, it's very hard to get out of it, and both parts fell. But that's the cunningness of the course designer, that's what she wants.
She's a clever lady as Dybody, and WTTL Opposition Skylaw just getting a little bit keen as the round progressed. Well, next to come forward, it is Molly Summerland with her own Charlie van ter Huyten. Molly was bitterly disappointed with her dressage yesterday. 32.2, felt she could have easily been in the 20s. This is a horse that's very good in the first phase, but also very good in the final phase as well. So if she can jump clear or even just have the one pole down, then she will be really on for a climb up the leaderboard in the cross country with a quick round over Ian Stark's track. We're seeing some really good rounds from the future talent, Angus.
It's always nice to see the future of the sport in safe hands, and it's good that they're getting the exposure as well in this environment. This ERM series is incredibly important for our sport, and it's great that they're getting the exposure of riding in this atmosphere. Molly having a very good round so far. The curse.
So one pole down, and actually she did well to get it back there.
Yeah, very well, because there isn't a lot of time. There's only 5 strides between the treble and the vertical. There's not a lot of time to rescue it. But that's just we see the intensity of the round, and it gets far greater as we go round.
Well, she comes over the finish line, one pole down, 36.2, just drops behind Yasmin Ingham and Rihi DJ. Molly probably a little bit disappointed with that pole, but actually, Angus, I think she's still well in with a very good shout, because this is a fast rider across the country.
Yeah, and we know time Chatsworth is always very influential. The track is decent, very decent, and we haven't seen many clear rounds. We've only got the 2 so far. 3 so far. So you know, there's all to play for still.
It absolutely is, and we will be coming into the top 10 in just a moment. We've some 11 combinations left to jump here in the show, jumping leg one of the 2019 Event Rider Masters Series. And that leaderboard is extremely tight. We're well within 2 fences of our overnight leaders, Laura Collett and Molly Summerland. Keep an eye out for her on the cross country because she is very quick, as I say. Next to come forwards, it is Bubby Upton. Bubby with Fernhill Rockstar. This is a horse that was actually produced up to this level by Ireland's Austin O'Connor and his wife Amy O'Connor, who still part owns the horse alongside Rachel Upton. And 32.1 their starting score. Bubby absolutely delighted to be making her Event Rider Masters debut. A very talented young lady, a former junior European champion as well. And actually this combination were 4th, I think it was, at Bergam at this level last year. But Bubby's still relatively inexperienced. How much of a difference does it make, Angus, for a rider like Bubby to have a more experienced horse to sort of show her the ropes at this level?
I always say it's easier to teach one person to do something they don't know how to.
Absolutely.
Trying to teach 2 or some rider, much more difficult. And it does, you know, the horse has got that little bit more streetwise, that street cred. They're a little bit more aware. Ringcraft, we call it, is a very important thing. Just having that know-how, you know, all the great teams, they say they know how to win even when they're playing badly. And it's, again, the same for horse and rider. And this, as you said, is the more intense part of the track. Dive Body really just turns the screw up at the end of the track, and the more technical bits come here. And this is where we see the good jumpers, or the more experienced jumpers, are a bit cannier, cope with it. The less experienced haven't.
Well, she gives us clear round number 4, Bubby Upton and Fernhill Rockstar, showing us how it should be done. They stay on 30 at 2.1. They'll be no worse than 11th. They'll climb into the top 10. Bubby, you can see her grin from right across our position in the studio, all the way the other side of the arena. She's rightfully delighted with that.
Well, it was pretty much foot perfect. There's not a lot more you can say, really.
Well, Bubby telling us yesterday she trains with Ruth McMullen, who was so influential in the start of Pippa Funnell's career. Pippa coming forward as one of the later horses to go in 5th place, or equal 4th, I should say, after the withdrawal of Gemma Tattersall and Quick Look. Now here we are into the top 10, reverse order show jumping. Lucy Jackson and Gillian Greenlees' Superstition, 31.8 dressage. Lucy delighted with the horse's test yesterday.
It's getting very tight now, very, very tight, and that, especially when you jump in reverse order like this, it does just apply pressure to those above you. And a clear round now from Lucy will really put pressure on the riders ahead, because mentally the riders are coming in knowing that everything's in their hands, and if they mess it up, it's their fault. So it's a great opportunity to really apply the pressure. So the horse showing its scope there. I mean, it stood a mile off that oxer into the treble there, and the horse really showing good scope.
Just needs to keep an eye on the clock as well, Lucy. Superstition? No, she's okay.
She's fine.
She's coming down to the final oxer, and it gives us a clear round number 5. Lucy Jackson will be inside the top 10 going forward to this afternoon's cross country. Absolutely delighted with it, and another faultless round.
It was a very, very good round, and what was the interesting thing for me was how the horse used its scope. So whether it was close or off the fence, its jump didn't change.
Well, the young guns showing us how it should be done, Hannah.
Literally, it is unbelievable. These guys are smashing it out here. Bubby and Yaz, both clear rounds at your first ERMs. How does it feel?
I can't really believe it. He's not a natural kind of jumper, but oh my God, he tried so hard. So I can't believe it. I'm so happy.
And Yaz, it's your birthday tomorrow. You're going to be just 22. What a great present.
It's a great present. Piglet's put a huge smile on my face. He really excels in this phase, so it's just amazing to come out and jump a clear round in this amazing atmosphere.
Just time to nail the cross country now, girls.
Let's see. Fingers crossed.
Good luck.
Thank you.
They are absolutely the stars of the future. So we've 5 clear rounds so far, and we are inside the top 10. Now we're in the reverse order show jumping here in the Event Rider Masters. Bella in his car, Carolyn next to come forward, owned by the Duchess of Roxburgh, 31.6. Their starting score in 9th position after the first phase, cannot afford a penalty, couldn't even afford to be a second over the time. That is how close it is on the leaderboard to stay ahead of Lucy Jackson and Superstition.
9th at the moment on 31.6.
And another that we see with the sheepskin noseband, Angus.
Yeah, we see, like we said earlier, the idea is that it makes them drop the heads a little bit more. But personally, I don't mind that. But it seems to be working for Bella. She's obviously ridden under pressure before and jumped clear rounds under pressure. And this horse, Carolyn, has a very effortless jump as the rail falls, with a curse again. And what I mean by the effortless jump is that actually, to jump these jumps, the horse is only using probably 60–70% of its scope. Well, a long way off that oxer.
She rounded the oxer,
Yeah.
and it did go.
Yeah. Again, interesting. She's had 2 down now. She went a lot wider round that turn. The clock almost becomes a little bit more irrelevant, but she'll still probably just get home.
Well, 2 poles down for Bella in his car, Carolyn. They clear the last, and no problem on the clock, so 39.6. And that will see Bobby Upton, Fernhill Rockstar move into the top 10. And Bella will drop down to 15th. Well, Bella, such a talented young lady, winner of Blenheim 4-star long format last year on this very, very horse. Jumped clear on that occasion.
31.5, the dressage penalty score for this combination that took the Event Rider Masters win at Jardy, just outside Paris, last summer.
Well, Bella comes home with 8 penalties to add in total, as here comes the man who took the title in Jardy last summer. On this very horse, Sally Ellicott's Zagreb, Alex Bragg in the plate, 31.5 in 8th position. Coming forward, he jumped clear in Jardy last year. And he is one of the horses that Echo Ratings would predict as a clear round.
She tried to do exactly that.
Alex so desperately wants to be on the podium here this weekend. He will be a fierce competitor across the country. Saw a stride there. Alingus, he committed.
Yeah, he did. He had what we call a lucky rub at the fence before, and then really got on with it. Be interesting. Some horses, when they have what I just said, a lucky rub, it sometimes does enough to make them try harder. Unfortunately, the rail fell there. It's interesting. I mean, it's hard to see from here. The way the last 3-4 horses have jumped that water tray, I'm just wondering whether it's getting quite boggy in front of that fence, because they're all cramped a little bit behind. And as we saw with Alex's horse, how it dragged its back end through. It'd be interesting. As a rider, I'd be watching that thinking, actually, do I want to jump that to the left or the right to try and pick better ground, or jump across?
Would you go and find one of the riders that's just been in? Ask them?
It depends how you get on, how well you get on with it, but yeah, or I'd have someone watching.
Well, Alex Bragg-Zagreb, 2 poles down, 39.5. Costly for him, down to 14th position. But that means that Yasmin Ingham, Rahi DJ actually climb up towards the top 10, and Molly Summerland benefits from it as well. So those younger riders really are going to be to the fore in this afternoon's cross country. But Alex will be disappointed with that.
Yeah, it was a very good round, and like I said, that here we see it. We're going to watch it now and just see whether they. Well, it didn't seem that muddy in front of it, to be fair. I was waiting to see if there's a load of mud fly up, but.
Well, Alex Bragg 2 poles down as this next combination to come forwards is none other than Sam Watson. Tullabeg Flamenco. 31.0 in 7th position coming forward. 1/2 of Equa ratings. Sam, who won an individual, a team silver medal, I should say, sorry. He'd love it to have been an individual medal, but team silver at the World Games last year. That was with Horseware Arda Highlight. Tullabeg Flamenco, though, had some very good results in 2018. Now, Angus, we always get a bit twitchy when Sam's in the arena. So far, so good.
So far, so good. Sam, a crowd favourite, that's for sure, especially with the ladies. But as you see Sam there, that was interesting. So he jumped the vertical quieter in a much more reduced canter so that he could accelerate to that oxer. And that's the kind of thing that all the good riders, especially when you're jumping for a lot of money, will have someone watching the rounds, and they feed little bits of information back before they go in.
Sam Sparkle's watching on, can't watch, she's hidden down the chute, sort of waiting for the gasp from the crowd, but he comes down to the final fence. Sam Watson, Tullabeg Flamenco, and he clears it, so it is clear round number 6. Sparks has her arms held aloft. She's absolutely delighted with it. And Sam, bit of a fist punch. He is going to be one to watch in the cross country. We're all delighted for him.
Well, rightly so. A little fist pump from Sam. I'm not being funny, but if I'd ridden around that good, I'd be pretty pumped up.
Well, it is a clear round from 1/2 of Equa ratings. We're going to Equa ratings corner.
He did it. He did it. He did it. So brilliant for Sam Watson. We've been talking a little bit about what it takes to jump clear here. 31% it's one of the highest jumping clear rates in all of the Event Rider Masters legs. That would bring us to 10 clear rounds, 9 or 10, just in between. We had Tullabeg Flamenco for one. Of the horses that are left, we have Julia Krajewski, Laura Collett, and Bill Levitt. They're the ones we're expecting to be clear. Keep an eye on those.
Well, we'll be watching Sam this afternoon across the country, but here comes a man on excellent form so far this year. It is Tom McEwen, Figaro Van Het Broekhoff, his Belton winner, and he jumped clear at Belton when he was on his way to finishing on his dressage score to win at this level a little bit earlier on this year. In 6th position coming forward, cannot afford a penalty to stay ahead of Sam Watson, Tullabeg Flamenco. Well, he could afford 2 seconds over the time, I should say, but cannot afford a pole down. And the pressure is on. Tom McEwen, there's a horse that he's really found the way to ride this horse in the show jumping, Angus.
Yeah, I have to say, Tom is probably at the minute one of my favourite riders to watch.
It's quite interesting because a lot of people are saying that, but unfortunately, an early pole. We haven't seen that oxer go that frequently.
No, first time for everything. Yeah, a lot of people like watching Tom because he's incredibly stylish, but he also is incredibly effective.
Well, one pole down will keep him inside the top 10. It moves Sam Watson up a place.
And as you can see, I'm sure Tom won't mind me saying this, but Tom's very short. He won't mind.
It's a big horse as well, though, to be fair.
This is a very big horse. And you can see slightly on his forehand in his natural way of going. When I say that, is the front end is a lot lower than you would ideally want. and Tom just having to basically ride the horse in the way it wants to go rather than a slightly more conventional way.
But actually, so far, pretty effective. One pole down, and it drops him a few places on the leaderboard, but he stays inside the top 10. Tom McEwen, Figaro Van Het Broeksoff, averages just 0.6 of a time penalty from 2 runs at this level so far this year. Do not write him off to rise back up the leaderboard again this afternoon. How important is it, Angus, for a rider to find out what makes their horse tick?
It is very important because they're so individual, and the best horses are easy to ride. They jump no matter what. But you can get something like this horse, which is incredibly quick across the country and good on the flat, but a little bit more difficult in the jumping. So you just have to work it out. You just have to get on with it, because not all of them are perfect at all 3 phases.
Well, certainly effective. So Tom McEwen, 1 pole down. Here comes Pippa Funnell with Jonathan and Jane Clark's MGH Grafton Street, 29.7 in 4th position coming forwards. Again, can't afford a pole down to stay ahead of Sam Watson. And has that pole. So Sam Watson is climbing up towards the podium. He will be top 5 going forward to the cross country this afternoon.
Well, as we've said, what are we on? 4 or 5 clear rounds so far? 5, I think. 5? Yeah, Derm saying 5. 6. 6. Final answer? 6. Okay, so we're on 6 clear rounds out of a field of
30.
This size, 30. That's showing how difficult the course is. So actually, a clear round is proving very, very tasty for Sam Watson.
Well, Pippa has a remarkable jumping record here at Chatsworth.
She should know a way around a jumping arena, though.
She absolutely should. And she'll be disappointed with 2 poles down with this horse. She comes up the final line and just has to really hold her line. The horse was just drifted off to the right, but 37.7 their total score, and Pippa will just drop down outside of the top 10. But all of these poles are benefiting one man, Hannah.
Sam Watson, what a round.
He's a good boy in there. He's a good boy. It's hard work in there. The ground's dead. Course walked quite easy, quite jumpable. I enjoy that phase, but they needed to work in there.
So plan for this afternoon, because you really are in contention for a podium now.
Jump the fences, look after the horse, you know, make sure that the fuel tank always has a bit of fuel in it, but just be efficient.
So heading to get some Haribo now?
Haribo, yeah. Any other little fixes that I can get, but just think about the next phase. It's only a couple of hours away, so keep our mind on the job.
Good luck, Sam. We're rooting for you.
Thank you.
He is very quietly confident of his chances this weekend. The horse had 8.8 time penalties here 12 months ago over Ian Stark's cross-country track. He would love to be quicker here in 2019. Well, here come a combination that are huge, huge part of the Event Rider Masters series. It is Sarah Cohen with Pressy Spark and Liz Jones's Treason, 29.7 their starting score. Combination who actually won in Wiesbaden back in 2017, took the title and have been in the top 10 Event Rider Masters legs numerous times.
I love that in Sam's interview. He just casually goes, oh yeah, course walked really easy. It's always not easy to say that once you jump a clear round. Let me assure you, this course did not walk really easy. It is, as we're seeing, certainly mixing the leaderboard up nicely.
Now, Sarah Cohen only competes this horse at this level. How difficult is that?
I think the bond that Sarah has with Treason makes a massive difference, because she's had him right from the beginning. She used to work for Vin, who bred the horse and owns the horse, the Pressy Spark stud. So she's known this horse his entire life. So that makes it easier. If it was something she hadn't known so long, it would be a lot more difficult. She's not having the nicest of time today.
Well, those poles are proving really, really costly, because it takes her outside of the top 20.
And Sam's up another place.
He is, ever closer to a podium. So Sarah Cohen. Treason just needs to watch the clock as well, actually. Could pick up a time penalty. In fact, picks up 0.8 time penalty, so 12.8. 42.5 is her final score, and we have just 3 combinations left to jump here in the show jumping of leg 1 of the Event Rider Masters. Let's go back to Equirating's corner.
Well, 3 combinations to go. There is a very high likelihood from the past performance we've seen of each of these 3 that it could be 3 clear rounds. Don't forget, we have talked from the outset about the importance of speed at Chatsworth. That's all going to be pushed into the afternoon. Yes, of course you need to be clear jumping this afternoon, but the speed is so important. What we're seeing in here now, particularly from these next 3, is all going to be about, can you get yourself a platform to be able to just maybe buy yourself an extra couple of seconds. This afternoon is going to be so exciting. It is going to boil down to a matter of seconds, and there is a lot of money on the line. So every pole in the next 3 rounds is going to be critical. Keep an eye on this.
Well, 3 combinations left to come forward as the first of those comes into the arena. It is Bill Levitt, Shannondale Titan, owned by the Prentice family. Shannondale Titan, Alfie, as he's known at home, 28.5 in the dressage, in 3rd position. So we're into the podium now. Just 3 horses left to jump in the reverse order show jumping here of the Event Rider Masters. And this man has been a real firm favourite of the series. Capable of jumping a clear round, Angus, but it's not guaranteed.
No, as we see, just rattling the front rail of that Oxer. And this, we are now, I mean, I don't want to state the obvious, we are incredibly tight at the top now. We've seen Sam, there's a rapid meteoric rise up the leaderboard. And that really will be playing on these riders' minds, because they know Sam's just there sitting, smiling like a silent assassin in the warm-up arena.
Sounds very, very terrifying, to be honest, Angus.
I'm more scared of Sparkles, personally.
Yes, probably. I'm not sure I've ever known anyone say they're scared of Sparkles, but never mind.
Sam is, definitely.
Yes, probably. Well, Bill is so far so good.
Oh!
Just talk too soon, and that pole down costs him a number of places on the leaderboard. Drops to 32.5. Now, he was still well in contention if he can limit it to 1 pole.
Yeah, absolutely. As we've heard Dermot saying, time at Chatsworth here is incredibly tight. So no more mess up, please, Bill.
Well, Bill Levitt, Shannondale Titan, down to the final fence. They clear it, just keeping an eye on the clock. They sneak inside, so 1 pole down. He drops off the podium, but he stays in 6th place. Don't be surprised to see him go quickly across the country this afternoon. He'll be disappointed with that, but still a very, very good round from Bill and Shannondale Titan. That means that Sam Watson will be on the podium going forward to the cross-country this afternoon, but 1 pole in the show jumping, Angus. 10 seconds on Ian Stark's cross-country track, that translates to. That's not a lot on the Chatsworth Hills.
They're a long way up those hills, you know.
They really are, and that's actually a very good point, isn't it? Because we know that it isn't going to be just a dressage competition, just a show jumping competition, just a cross-country competition. This is all about the 3 phases.
To make 10 seconds up on the cross-country, it is very, very difficult.
Well, here is Julia Krajewski for Germany. Amanda Benaville, 27.4 her dressage. She was so impressive in that first phase yesterday. She's notorious for being very, very good on the flat, but this a younger, more experienced horse brought the mare here for some experience, and that pole drops her behind Sam Watson, keeps her inside the top 5.
It's very interesting. In Sam's interview, he said the ground was riding very dead, and here you see probably just that effect in those 2 of those first few fences that Julia jumped. The horse not really pinging that well.
This is a good point, actually, because Julia was saying yesterday she wasn't sure how the mare would handle the ground. They often jump on a surface or much harder ground over in Europe. It's a different question here.
It is, and after the summer we had last year as well, a lot of these horses haven't jumped in going like this for 2 years. And some at all.
And actually, Julia showing all of her experience there really helped the mare out through the treble combination. Now she'll stay on the podium if she can just clear this final line. this is still a very, very good score. Make absolutely no mistake. Julia Krajewski has been on an Event Rider Masters podium twice before. She's in a podium position going forward to the cross country this afternoon. One pole down, 31.4. That was still a very good round from this mare, Angus.
It's still a very good round. Like I said, Julia gave the mare a very, very good round. And you saw her get better and better as they went round the round. The horse started to jump higher, made a better shape, looked more confident. So very good job, really.
Well, importantly, this actually gives Laura Collett a pole in hand to hold on to her lead going forward to this afternoon's cross country. That pole has really given Laura Collett a bit of breathing space. She's on a score of 26.9.
Prolific medal winner at the under-21 level.
She's got to come in, though, thinking mentally she hasn't got a pole.
Absolutely. And 12 months ago, Laura Collett entered this very arena as the leader, as the clear favourite coming forward to the show jumping with Mr. Bass. She had a pole down. So nothing is a given.
You know what to say? At first you don't succeed. Try again.
And this horse so talented in this phase. You can just see how impressive a jumper he is.
Well, Laura has got a very, very good string of horses, and they all have a few things in common. They're fast, they're smart on the flat, and they jump high. It's quite nice, really.
She's a very good jockey as well.
Yeah, incredibly good. And when Laura, like I said, when Laura has won a horse that she really gets on with, there's not many people that could train it as well as that, as she can. And here, this horse is a prime example of what I've talked about earlier. If a horse is only using 50–60% of its scope, which Laura's is an incredibly scopy horse, you see how far she stood off that oxer, but it didn't really make any difference. It makes it so much easier as a rider. Well, Nicole will come down to the last, and she's still clear. And there you go, she's in the lead.
She really is in the lead, and she is going to have a good amount of breathing space on the cross country as well. Laura Collett, London 52, absolutely faultless in the show jumping phase, and they hold on to their lead coming forward to the cross country a little bit later on this afternoon. And she will actually have 10 seconds in hand over second place Sam Watson, and Laura and Sam actually the best of friends. So this is going to be a really brilliant finish to the first leg of the 2019 Event Rider Masters series. Laura Collett, she wasn't at all deterred by that pole down she had with Mr. Bass 12 months ago. Faultless in the show jumping. So let's take a look at that leaderboard. Laura Collett, no problems for her. 26.9 is the one to beat. She's 10 seconds on the cross country in hand over Sam Watson and Tullabeg Flamenco, who move up from 7th to 2nd with a very good clear round, one of 6 in total. Julia Krajewski, a pole down, drops her a place to 3rd, and Lucy Jackson climbs all the way to 4th. We've got the young guns of Bubby Upton and Yasmin Ingham to keep a close eye on as well. A little bit further on down the order, disappointment for Pippa Funnell, dropping outside of the top 10 with MGH Grafton Street with those 2 poles down. Likewise, Alex Bragg and Zagreb. Cathal Daniels, Ryogan Rua, winners here in another section 12 months ago. Don't write them off, quick across the country. Huge disappointment for Sarah Cohen and Treason, dropping out of contention outside the top 20 with their penalties, and likewise Oliver Townend and Ulysses. Gemma Tattersall, quick look, withdrawing when in good contention before the show jumping as they came forward a little bit earlier on. So absolutely delighted with the show jumping. It really has shuffled that leaderboard, and we have enjoyed every second of it. Angus Smales in the studio with me. Angus, your thoughts on the show jumping?
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I thought the course from Die Body was incredibly clever, how she just gently turned the pressure up on the round, and we've seen a fantastic spectacle because it went right down to the last rider. Was Sam going to rise up from, was 7th, 8th position, wasn't it? And he nearly took the lead after the jumping.
He really did. Now, in terms of this afternoon's cross country, it's a pretty quick turnaround out there. 10 seconds Laura has in hand. Do you think she'll use it all?
That's a massive buffer. Let me assure you, that is a massive buffer. The riders that we have here in this field, they can all ride fast. To get 10 seconds ahead of them is nigh on impossible. So for Sam to take 10 off Laura will be very difficult.
Will be tough.
Because I would expect Laura to be very near the time. I'd expect Sam to be incredibly close, if not in the time. So.
Well, we know Ian Stark's cross-country track is really tough, and the time here at Chatsworth is always a challenge. We will be bringing you all of the action, eventridermasters.tv. The scene is very much set for a huge battle as we head towards the end of leg 1 of the Event Rider Masters. Do stay tuned. We'll be back at 3:20 with all of the action. Thanks for watching. We'll see you then.